The massive hegemony warships blotted out Earth's sun as Ambassador Kai Chen stood alone on the designated platform in Central Park. Around him, the world held its breath. 7 billion humans waited to learn their fate as the newest species to encounter the galactic hegemony's ultimatum. Above, the lead dreadnought's belly opened like a mechanical flower, disgorging a transport that descended with ominous silence. The craft settled onto the platform with barely a whisper, its hull gleaming with technologies that made humanity's greatest achievements look like stone tools. The airlock hissed open, revealing 3 figures that embodied the hegemony's philosophy of conquest through superiority. Warlord Thexavar towered 9 feet tall, his exoskeleton clicking with each deliberate step. His species had dominated through brute force for millennia. Beside him glided synthesist Vorth, a crystalline being whose people had achieved technological transcendence. The third figure was perhaps the most unsettling, Scion Milara, whose translucent form housed a mind that could unravel thoughts like pulling threads from fabric. "Human representative," Thexvar's voice boomed through his translator. "You know why we are here. Every species that joins the hegemony must demonstrate their worth through tribute. Your people are young, weak, technologically primitive. What can you possibly offer that we have not already taken from 1,000 conquered worlds?" Kai straightened his shoulders, acutely aware that his simple gray suit looked pathetic next to their imposing forms. "Honorable members of the hegemony, I understand the tradition, but I ask that you hear what I have to offer before making your judgment." Synthesist Vorth's crystalline facets shifted, light refracting through his form. "Speak quickly, primitive. We have assessed your military capabilities, your resources, your technology. You have nothing we cannot simply take." "That's true," Kai admitted. "We can't match your weapons or your ships. Our computers are toys compared to yours. But there is something we possess that you've never encountered before." Scion Milara's form pulsed with curiosity. "Your thoughts suggest you believe this sincerely. How intriguing. Proceed." Kai reached into his jacket, causing Thexvar to tense, but the human only withdrew a small, worn book. "This belonged to my grandmother. It's nothing special, just a collection of old stories, but I'd like to share one with you." The 3 hegemony representatives exchanged glances. In their vast experience of conquest, no species had ever offered stories as tribute. "Very well," Thexvar rumbled. "But make it brief." Kai opened the book and began to read. "Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived with her grandmother in a cottage at the edge of a dark forest." As he spoke, something extraordinary happened. The hegemony representatives, beings who had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, found themselves drawn into the simple tale of Little Red Riding Hood. But Kai didn't stop there. When the story ended, he continued with another and another. He spoke of heroes and villains, of love found and lost, of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. He told them about Odysseus outwitting gods and monsters, about Anne Frank finding hope in darkness, about a boy wizard learning that love was the most powerful magic of all. Hours passed. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the platform. But none of the representatives moved to leave. "I don't understand," synthesist Vorth finally said, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "These narratives serve no logical purpose. They contain no technical specifications, no military intelligence, no resource data. Yet, I find myself compelled to hear more." Scion Milara's form shimmered with what might have been excitement. "In all my centuries of reading minds across the galaxy, I have never encountered this phenomenon. These stories create neural patterns unlike anything I've observed. They generate emotions, memories, connections that transcend the immediate experience." Thexvar shifted uncomfortably. "It is unusual. My people value only strength and conquest. Yet this tale of your David and Goliath resonates in ways I cannot explain." Kai smiled. "That's what stories do. They connect us to something larger than ourselves. Every culture in human history has told stories. They teach us, inspire us, help us understand who we are and who we might become. We've created millions of them, myths, legends, novels, films, songs. Each one unique, each one a window into the human experience. But what value do they have?" Vorth asked. "How do they serve the hegemony?" "The hegemony rules through fear and superior technology," Kai replied. "But what happens when you've conquered everything? When there are no more worlds to claim, no more species to dominate? What binds your empire together then?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. We have ruled for 10,000 years, Thexvar said slowly. Yet rebellions still occur. Sectors break away. Unity requires constant force. Stories create unity without force, Kai explained. They give people shared experiences, common dreams. Hegemony bound together by stories instead of fear would be stronger than any fleet. Milara's form pulsed rapidly. The potential applications are staggering. Imagine if every world in the hegemony shared common narratives but also contributed their own unique perspectives. The cultural synthesis would be unprecedented. More than that, Vorth added, his crystalline structure brightening. Stories evolve, adapt, grow. Unlike technology, which becomes obsolete, or force, which breeds resentment, stories become richer with each telling. Thexvar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight that suggested the gravity of his decision. Human, your offer is counter-acceptable, but we do not want just your existing stories. We want your storytellers themselves. Will your people come to our worlds and share this gift throughout the hegemony? Kai's heart raced. You mean? We mean that Earth will not be conquered, Milara said. Instead, it will become the cultural heart of the hegemony. Your storytellers will travel to every world, learning their tales and sharing yours. In return, Earth will be protected, provided for, and given access to all hegemony knowledge and technology. As the three representatives returned to their ship, Kai looked up at the stars with new eyes. Humanity had just avoided conquest not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through something far more powerful, the simple, ancient art of telling a good story. The hegemony had expected tribute in gold or steel. Instead, they received something infinitely more valuable, the key to ruling not just bodies and worlds, but hearts and minds across the galaxy. And somewhere in the distance, a child asked their parent to tell them a story, unknowingly participating in humanity's greatest victory.